Rob Dozer. While most teams wait until the offseason chaos begins, the Fever moved first. Hiring Rob Dozer in November, well ahead of the league's usual staffing window, gave Indiana an edge others won't match. Time. Time to evaluate. Time to plan. Time to train. The emphasis on early development means players can begin skill work immediately, creating continuity between seasons instead of playing catch-up. And with a seasoned NBA development expert leading the charge,
if you're here for the real story and not the filtered version, subscribe. And if you're sticking around for the next meltdown, you better definitely subscribe.
this isn't just about basic drills. It's precision training designed to unlock each player's ceiling. Keith Porter. The Fever's decision to pair Dozer with returning coach Keith Porter ensures that no momentum is lost during Porter's recovery, further demonstrating how calculated and structured this strategy is. For a team with young stars like Caitlin Clark, that timing could prove critical. Development doesn't wait, and now neither do the Fever. Investing in infrastructure this early means they're not just hoping for a breakout year. They're building toward one. The message to the rest of the league is subtle but unmistakable. This team isn't standing still. They're preparing now for the results they expect to deliver next season, with coaching, structure, and timing all working in sync. Fans didn't see this coming. Not in November. The Indiana Fever made a major move, and for once, it wasn't a last-minute scramble. It wasn't reactionary. It wasn't a crisis response. It was strategic, it was early, and it sent a clear signal. This franchise is done waiting. By hiring Rob Dozer, a development coach with real NBA and G League experience, the Fever just rewrote the narrative. This wasn't about fixing what went wrong last season with one flashy trade or leaning entirely on Caitlin Clark to carry the weight. This was about building something real, something sustainable, something that reflects how serious they're about growth, not just for Clark, but for the entire team. This move means the Fever are finally operating like a modern basketball organization. Dozer's role isn't about managing game rotations or drawing up inbound plays. He's not calling timeouts or subbing players in crunch time. He's there for one reason: skill development, individual improvement, the nitty-gritty, day-in, day-out work that separates a decent team from a championship contender. And the fact that the Fever made this hire before the holidays, before the new year, tells you everything you need to know. They're not waiting until the offseason officially starts. They're already in it. They brought Dozer into work directly with players to start preparing now, not in April, not during training camp. That level of urgency hasn't been seen from Indiana in a long time. And fans noticed. Clark isn't just a media darling. She's a generational talent. She's shown elite-level production already, and that's without a fully optimized system around her. Now, with an NBA-caliber development coach helping refine her game, the ceiling just got a lot higher. Defensive pressure? She's going to learn how to read it faster. Off-ball movement? Expect sharper routes. Fatigue management? That becomes a science, not a guessing game. Dozer's background working with NBA and G League players means he knows how to create specific growth plans. Not generic drills. Not everyone runs the same thing. These are tailored sessions that focus on each player's gaps. That kind of individualized training is a game changer for a team like the Fever. And let's not overlook what they did with Keith Porter. Porter's been a valuable part of the Fever's coaching setup, and even after suffering an Achilles injury, the organization didn't cut him loose. They didn't demote him or quietly phase him out. They kept him. They're letting him recover, while also adding Dozer to pick up the slack and elevate the team's development capacity. That's not just smart, it's responsible. It shows foresight. It shows that Indiana isn't trying to solve problems by subtracting, they're adding, building, creating depth on their staff the same way winning teams build depth on their roster. This kind of rotation between Porter and Dozer ensures that no matter what, the Fever's players are supported year-round. There's no drop-off, no hole in the system. Player development continues uninterrupted, and that matters more than people realize. Because in today's game, the gap between winning and losing isn't just talent. It's refinement. It's the off-ball screens that get set at the right angle. The closeouts that are half a second faster. The pick and roll reads that happen one step earlier. These aren't things you fix mid-season. These are skills built in the off-season with focused high-level coaching. And now, Indiana has that. Caitlin Clark is going to benefit from this massively. But so are Aaliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell, Lexi Hull, and the rest of the roster. This isn't a Clark-only initiative. This is a full-team investment. Boston, with her dominance in the post, can now work with a coach who's trained NBA-level bigs. Her shot mechanics, defensive timing, and post footwork all stand to benefit. Kelsey Mitchell, one of the league's most efficient scorers, can use this time to evolve her ball handling under pressure and enhance her playmaking. This is what modern player development looks like. And it gets better because Dozer's background ties directly to the Pacers organization. That synergy means more than just name-dropping an NBA franchise. It means shared systems, shared insights, access to cutting-edge development tools, organizational communication. When a WNBA team can tap into NBA-level best practices, the impact is immediate. This isn't just about what drills are run. It's about how film is broken down, how rest and recovery are scheduled, how player workloads are managed throughout a season. That knowledge transfer could be the key to unlocking more efficient training and fewer injuries. And this is exactly what the Fever needed to start doing, thinking ahead. They've spent the last few years chasing results, reacting, hoping. But this is proactive. They're making real investments in infrastructure in a type of internal culture that's built around growth, not just survival. That's why this hire is bigger than it looks. Most teams make these kinds of moves behind the scenes and hope it pays off later. But the Fever doing it early and visibly signals that they understand the urgency. They're setting a tone, and that tone says development is no longer optional. This also aligns with broader trends across professional basketball. The best franchises, NBA, WNBA, overseas, are doubling down on specialization. Coaching staffs aren't just generalists anymore. They're built around experts, shooting coaches, strength specialists, player development leads. That's the new, and Indiana is finally catching up. This wasn't a PR stunt. It wasn't a Band-Aid move. It's a pivot, the kind that builds something lasting. And the timing of it couldn't be more important. Because as teams prepare for trades, free agency, and the draft, the Fever now have something most of them don't, a development foundation already in place. That gives them a massive edge. Whoever they draft next, whoever they sign, will enter an environment that's already working, already teaching, already improving players. That makes onboarding smoother. It speeds up chemistry. It improves results. And that's exactly how you go from rebuilding to contending. This is just the beginning. Dozer's hire isn't a finish line. It's the first block in a larger rebuild that's no longer just about talent. It's about structure. The front office has shown its hand. They want sustained success. They want player growth. And they're willing to invest in the systems that deliver it. Fans know the difference. They've seen the hollow promises before. But this move hit differently. This one made sense. It wasn't about appeasing headlines. It was about progress. So where does this lead? If the Fever keep this up, it leads to a franchise that finally knows how to support its talent. A team that doesn't just count on Clark to pull off miracles, but gives her the help, development, and strategic backing to succeed long-term. A team where young players thrive, vets get better, and the whole roster improves in sync. And that's how you change a reputation. The Indiana Fever are shifting from a team with potential to a team with a plan. If you're as locked into this move as we are, drop your thoughts below. Do you think this is the turning point for the Fever? Are they finally getting it right? Like if you've been waiting for this kind of serious investment. Share this with someone who's been following the rebuild. And subscribe if you want to stay on top of every smart, under-the-radar move this team is making. Because this time, they're not talking about change. They're building it. This is what it looks like when a franchise stops talking about rebuilding and starts actually rebuilding. The Indiana Fever, for the first time in far too long, are making moves that feel intentional, strategic, measured, not panic trades, not media distractions, not postseason finger-pointing. A real, foundational shift. And it started with one decision that most people might have missed at first: hiring a development coach in November. But not just any coach. Rob Dozier is a proven name. He comes with NBA credentials, G League success, and the kind of resume that doesn't just say knows basketball, but screams develops basketball players. That distinction matters, because this isn't a guy coming in to patch holes or keep players busy with reps. He's being brought in to transform skill sets, to take raw tools and turn them into refined weapons. That should have every Fever fan's attention. And this isn't speculation. It's backed up by how quickly and deliberately this move was made. November hires don't happen by accident. This wasn't just about availability. This was about prioritizing the part of the game that too many organizations neglect: individual development. The Fever aren't waiting for next season to start learning how to win. They've already started laying the groundwork. That's a culture shift, and Caitlin Clark is at the center of it. She's already performing at a high level, even with a roster and system still finding its identity. But what's made this move so smart is that it doesn't assume Clark will solve everything on her own. Instead, it treats her like what she is: a long-term investment, a star who deserves an environment that helps her grow rather than forcing her to carry everyone else's weight. Adding someone like Dozier means Clark isn't just being told to adjust to the league. She's being supported through it. That means understanding how to conserve energy when she's constantly double-teamed, how to keep her shooting percentages up through physical fatigue, how to process defenses faster and more efficiently. That's what development is. But here's where the Fever stepped up even more. They didn't gut the old system to bring Dozier in. They didn't push Keith Porter out. They didn't cut ties just because he's recovering from an Achilles injury. They kept him, and they added Dozier to work alongside him. That's what sustainable programs do. They don't swap out coaches like spare parts. They build teams of people. Coaching talent is treated the same way as player talent. Maximize what you have and add to it without losing what already works. Porter stays. Dozier enters. Continuity is preserved. Capacity is increased. Everyone wins. And more importantly, the players win. Because now, the Fever have multiple development voices in the room. Players aren't relying on one coach for everything. They're getting specialized insight. If someone's working on shooting mechanics, there's a coach for that. If another needs to improve ball handling under pressure, there's someone ready with drills, film, and targeted feedback. That's a professional basketball environment. That's how elite teams run. And now, that's what Indiana is trying to become. Let's not forget, this kind of structure doesn't just help the Clark-Boston core. It helps role players, bench players, rookies. Because in this league, the margin between barely making the rotation and reliable contributor is often just a few well-developed skills. That's where the Fever have fallen short in years past. They drafted talent, but the tools to help those players evolve? Not always there. Not consistently. This is what changes that. And the best part? It's scalable. This move works now, and it works next season and the one after that. Because once a development framework is in place, the whole organization starts to shift. You draft smarter. You sign with purpose. You invest in the long term, not just the box score from one season. Which is why fans are finally seeing this for what it is, a signal. This is an acute footnote in an off-season recap. This is a strategy being laid bare. It's the front office saying, we see the holes. We're filling them, and we're doing it the right way. It's also a direct reflection of where professional basketball is going. Development has become the key competitive edge. You can't just buy a championship team anymore. Not in this era. You build one, piece by piece, coach by coach, practice by practice. And the best organizations, the ones with banners hanging from the rafters, don't wait until it's too late to start doing that. They do it before the pressure mounts. They do it before the public demands it. That's what the Fever are doing now. It's also worth noting that Dozier's experience with the Pacers and their affiliate isn't just cosmetic. The kind of NBA-WNBA crossover brings with it valuable institutional knowledge. The systems used in the NBA to streamline recovery, optimize load management, and structure player progression, all of that can now be filtered into the Fever. That kind of synergy is rare in the WNBA. but it's becoming more important every season. Because the demands of the modern game, conditioning, nutrition, mental preparation, can't be ignored. And if you're not evolving, you're falling behind. This move shows that Indiana is evolving, and they're not waiting for anyone to tell them when it's time. They're moving early, investing early, hiring early, so that when the league tips off again, they're already ahead of teams who waited too long. It also means that as new talent joins the team, whether through the draft, free agency, or trades, they're stepping into a system, a program that's ready to help them succeed. That's how you retain young talent. That's how you avoid wasted potential. You give them something to grow within. That's the real meaning behind this hire. It's not about Rob Dozer, the name. It's about what he represents, a shift toward a franchise identity rooted in progress, not panic. Caitlin Clark deserves that. Aaliyah Boston deserves that. Fever fans deserve that. They've waited long enough for a team that isn't just showing up, but building up. And now, they finally might have one. If you've been following this team through the highs and lows, this is your moment to lean in. If you've been holding your breath, waiting for a sign that the organization gets it, this is it. If you've been screaming for infrastructure, for foresight, for investment, this is where it starts. No, it's not a championship yet, but it's the beginning of one, the foundation of one. You can feel it. The energy is different now. This isn't the Indiana Fever team of past seasons, cycling through rebuild after rebuild with no real direction. This is a franchise making real, visible choices to level up. The hiring of Rob Dozer wasn't just another staff change. It was a wake-up call to the rest of the league. The Fever aren't just going to hope Caitlin Clark gets them there. They're going to build their way there. And fans, rightfully, are in shock. Not because they didn't believe this team could do something like this, but because for so long, it felt like they wouldn't. They drafted Clark. They already had Aaliyah Boston. They had Kelsey Mitchell, a proven scorer. The core was sitting right there. But the infrastructure? It didn't match the talent. And in professional basketball, that mismatch is what keeps you from winning. All the talent in the world doesn't matter if your system can't develop it. That's what this hire fixes. Dozer doesn't come from guesswork. He comes from NBA systems, G League training environments, and organizations where development isn't a buzzword. It's a daily standard. He knows how to identify the inefficiencies in a player's game and systematically sharpen them. And he knows how to do that across a roster, not just for the stars. Because yes, Caitlin Clark is going to benefit. Her growth curve could hit another gear entirely. She'll learn how to read defenses faster, how to better pace herself during heavy minutes, how to create more efficiently when the game slows down. But this isn't just about her. It's about the entire team stepping up. Aaliyah Boston isn't a rookie anymore. She's expected to be a foundational piece, a presence in the paint who can stretch her skill set and become even more of a two-way threat. With Dozer in the mix, that growth can finally be intentional, structured, monitored, measured. And let's talk about someone like Lexi Hull, a player with hustle and defensive upside, but who's still working to find her place in the offense. That kind of player needs development. She doesn't just need minutes. She needs reps that are tailored to her. Reps that target her mechanics, her decision-making, her shooting form. That's the kind of investment Dozer brings to the table. This isn't flashy. It's not going to trend on social media. But it's exactly what separates struggling franchises from stable ones. And the Fever are showing they finally understand that. They didn't make this hire in May, after realizing what wasn't working. They didn't do it as a reaction to bad press or fan outrage. They did it in November, before camp, before free agency, before the draft, before anyone was even paying attention. That kind of timing matters. It's what allows coaches to actually build relationships with players before the pressure starts. And it shows a kind of maturity we haven't seen from Indiana's front office in years. They also didn't make the mistake of choosing one coach over another. They kept Keith Porter, even as he recovers from his Achilles injury. That's respect. That's continuity. That's understanding that development isn't a one-man job. It's a system. A culture. Having both Porter and Dozer on staff ensures that players aren't left hanging if someone's unavailable. It creates consistency in messaging. It means there's always a voice, always a plan, always someone accountable for making players better. That kind of environment changes everything. Because for so long, Fever players have had to find their rhythm without much support behind the scenes. Now, they've got resources, got a plan, and that matters, not just for the games ahead, but for what comes after them. Because this hire does something bigger than develop players. It changes how the Fever recruit. Free agents take notice when teams invest in development. Rookies talk. Agents pay attention. When a franchise can say, "We have a system in place that will help your client get better," that's a powerful draw. It's the difference between hoping a player works out and knowing they'll improve in your system. That's what Indiana is setting up. And with Dozer's NBA and G League background, there's a direct connection to a level of basketball structure that WNBA teams are increasingly trying to replicate. That's not just about clout. That's about bringing in expertise that already knows what high-level systems look like. And let's be honest, it doesn't hurt to have ties to the Pacers, either. Organizational synergy means sharing resources, training techniques, analytics tools, and best practices. It creates alignment. It creates flow. It creates a basketball ecosystem where both teams benefit from each other's evolution. That's how you build something that lasts. Because the truth is the WNBA is evolving, and teams that don't invest in development are getting left behind. Every year, the talent pool gets deeper, the athletes get more advanced, and the systems that don't evolve with them, they collapse. The Fever just made it clear they're not collapsing. They're building from the inside out. And the fans? They feel it. For once, it's not just hype around a rookie or hope that a few lucky games will change everything. It's a shift in philosophy, a move that doesn't just patch holes, but prevents them from forming in the first place. It's the kind of move that usually flies under the radar until the results start speaking for themselves. So if you're watching this team and wondering, is this finally the start of something real? Yes. This is what real looks like. Real investment, real structure, real change. Drop your thoughts below. Are you as shocked by this proactive move as we are? Does this feel like the first serious step in turning the Fever into contenders? Hit that like if you're tired of empty rebuild talk. Share with someone who's followed the ups and downs of this team. And subscribe if you're staying locked in as Indiana finally gets back to building, not just surviving. Because the future is coming fast. And for the first time in years, the Fever look ready.